All right, guys, we are doing cams, head bolts, and springs on the wifey's car. So I figure I'll run through that. This car still has a balance shaft, and it is it's basically a stock bottom end, completely stock bottom end actually. So a little bit more work. I'm sure every single bolt that I'm going to be taking off is to Mitsubishi torque specs, so that's always fun. I am rolling with a set of cams here, and then I had a extra set of head bolts, and I'm going to do those one at a time. These are, what are these? They look like they're just 2000s, ARP 2000s. So I'm just going to do the ARP 2000s, and then we're going to throw in these Kelford 272s, and then I got the valve springs for them. So right off the bat, pull the timing belt completely off, pull the cams out, pull everything off the top end, and then do the head bolts and then the valve springs. So figure I'll take you through that whole process. And this is a good way, like if you got a stock Evo, that you'll be able to, you know, do some minor upgrades on the stock bottom end and still be able to run big cams, you know, decent boost. We're gonna see if we can get away with that. But you know, future is on this car. I am gonna build a 2.4 for it. So, but yeah, got all the. This thing needs to be powder coated or something. It is dirty. Look at that. Yeah, road debris. Ricer cover going on there. Stock coil. So here we go. All right, guys, a little bit of a skip here. I got the timing belt off, and yeah, everything was, I think the only time this timing belt's ever been changed is when they had the 60,000 mile, you know, job at Mitsubishi. So anyway, so timing belt is off. Tensioner. The eccentric pulley, I can tell, is a little on the dry side, so I'm going to replace that. Look like I have one, but got the cams off. Cams are off, and I'll show you how to throw those back on. But right now, I'm in the process of changing those springs. We've got the stalkers and the new ones. So right now, and as you can see, I got a special little tool here. So if you're looking for this tool, there it is. That is the tool, and that's the part number. And I mean, it's awesome. It's a great tool. So let's get to rolling. So I just want to show you a close-up of how this tool works, because it works really nice, and this is the kind of awesomeness that works really well. All right, check this out. So watch. Boom. Everything is up. Now you can take those little keepers out. So let's get in there with your, I'm trying to hold the light at the same time so you guys can see it here. There we go. That's better. So get in there, your magnet. Now these ones are a little stuck. Look at that. There we go. Got them both. Boom. There we go. And then you pull it up. Good to go. more to go. Then it's on the head bolts. Yay! Head studs, actually. Pulling the head bolts out, doing head studs. Don't forget, once you get these done, you got to turn the motor over to get these ones up. So you got to get these pistons up. So get down underneath here, and we will turn this motor over. All right, there's TDC for that, right there. Now we can work on these bad boys.
Okay, so the SuperTech valve springs are in. It's time to move over to installing the head studs. Put on the screen for you guys the recommended torque sequence from Mitsubishi that you're going to follow in order to do this. Essentially, what you're going to do is start from the inside and work your way out. And this is pretty common practice for all 4G63 motors, whether it's an Evo or a DSM. It's important to follow this because when you're putting in head bolts or head studs, you want to make sure that there is an equal amount of pressure being applied across the head. This is going to basically make it so you don't warp things in the head or cause issues with the actual head gasket itself sealing. You're going to start off at number 1, remove the OEM head bolt, install the aftermarket ARP 2000 head stud in this case, or whichever head stud that you're using. Now, since we didn't pull the head and we're doing these one by one, you want to make sure first that you start off by torquing it down to the OEM torque spec, which is 60 foot-pounds of torque. You want to do this because what you're doing is you're pulling the head stud out that's already at 60 foot-pounds of torque and then putting the new aftermarket one back in. You're wanting to keep that factory torque the same all the way across the head until you do all 10 of the head studs. Then you will want to go back and follow the ARP torque specs using this torque sequence once again to get them torqued down to 90 foot-pounds of torque. Once all 10 are at 90 foot-pounds of torque, you've successfully installed your aftermarket head studs.
You can definitely kind of feel once you get to the bottom because it's a different kind of tightness. Not a real spongy tightness. Okay. And honestly, we're not pushing crazy boost on this motor, so having it 100% perfect tits on, clean threads, you know, everything that you're supposed to do with these isn't going to matter on this motor. Not yet, anyway. Woo! One more final torque, and yeah, we are done skis. This is probably the one that has all the oil fall into it, because oil all the way around it. Awesome. now we got aftermarket valve springs, some head studs. Before you want to put anything in, you want to grab these bad boys and you want to bleed them. You want to shove this thing down in there until you feel, and then you're able to do that right there. So all you're looking for is don't push on the Allen wrench. Grab your fingers and pull on that bad boy. Just go like that. The Allen wrench relieves a little valve in there because without it, you can't push them down. But as soon as you get in there and you push down just a hair, boom. And then once you get everything out, you can depress on them. I don't have to do a whole bunch of that because just want them pressed down just a wee bit. Nothing crazy. So the seal being right here, you see the seal right there behind the cam. You want to slide that all the way back because it's got a little notch, right? So you grab the seal and you slide it back till it touches that notch, and then you can set this bad boy on there. And there's cap numero uno.
Okay, so when you're installing your cam caps, it's important to make sure that you are putting the cam caps not only where they belong, but in the same orientation that they were installed. I've put a little image up on the screen kind of illustrating what you're looking for. Mitsubishi has actually put an identifier mark on the cam cap so you know which cam cap goes where. On the intake cams, they're going to have the letter I and be numbered 1 through 6. On the exhaust cams, same thing, 1 through 6 with the letter E as the identifier. They also have little arrows on it too that point to the outside of the car that actually shows the orientation of which way they need to be put on. It is highly important that you make sure you put each cam cap back in the location in which it came off of, facing the direction that it came as well. And also make sure that unless you...
Now they say 15 foot-pounds on this, and I usually never go to 15 because I've had bolts strip at 15. So I'll hit 10 and we'll go about 13 and a half. These bad boys, if you go too tight, it'll splay the cap out and it'll wear on your cam, and you're going to have all kinds of bad news happening. And also, when you're doing this, you didn't see it, but I made sure that on the cam, the dowel pin and the mark were up, because on your timing cover, your marks are up here at the top. So you don't want to have to flip that all around. All right. Cam numero uno. Now for cam numero 2. And to all you performance guys, on my Evo, I don't use these ones. I actually use the DSM ones. The DSM ones tend to not break as easily. They do break, but not as easily. I noticed I had one shatter, missed a shift, and went high RPM, and it shattered. Knocked the rocker off, and shattered it, and yeah, it was a mess. So, alright. Time for the cam. A LaRuski. Yeah, the reason why these 272s got retired, you can see it, but it has a groove right here. Apparently a piece of metal went through the motor that these were in, but I had all these resurfaced at a machine shop, so none of those are high spots. So worst case scenario, the grooves are just going to hold oil. So, I mean, basically, you know, secondhand cams, you know, can't bitch just because they got little grooves in it. But yeah, they're not damaged, but you know, they got the little grooves in it. But I ain't worried about it. It'll be fine for this motor. Sweet. Alright guys, I'm at the question part of the cam install. So, I don't know if you can see this very well, but on my phone I actually have the Reluctor wheel setup. So when you do new cams, you set them up TDC. This is your Reluctor wheel right here. See how it's got a big side and then a short side right there? Well, to all those in question, when you stick it in and you shove this into the end of your cam, which is kind of a pain in the butt. Let's get that in there. It should look just about like that. Kind of hard to see. Hang on, let me get a light for you. Alright, so the little side is going to be up towards this bolt at about the, I don't know, 11 o'clock position. And then that should be along the bottom. Now you got to be careful, because when you're tightening that down, if you don't have it just set in there, because there's grooves in the end of your cam, if you don't have it set in there all the way, it can actually move over, and then you'll know, because your car is a pain in the ass to start. So if it's hard to start, you don't got your Reluctor in right. So it's 12 millimeter. I just rattle it in and then put the cover on. But you know, remember the little slot about 11 o'clock, and the big slot is down at about the 5 o'clock. You know, the center of it's about the 5 o'clock position. So I saved it on my phone just because I don't want to have to remember that stuff. So got the cams in, we're good to go. Kelford 272s. Got our springs. We're getting this bad boy on, and yay, we're about there. We'll throw the new timing belt on, you know, get all that done, and that way I don't got to worry about it. So yippee skippy.